All right, so what's going on? I found some interesting things here over the last couple days that just out of circumstance. So let's find out what the heck is going on here. So I opened up Visual Studio Code, VS Code, the other day, and typically they get the little pop-up at the bottom that says, "Hey, restart to install the latest version." Okay, no problem. I like keeping things in sync, so went ahead and did that. Release notes pop up. Hey, nothing major in the notes. A few little minor things here and there that have changed, etc., etc. Just as I'm about to hit the X to close out that screen, I noticed the version number was bumped to 1.56.0, which means that it was a new minor release that was put out. So because I had been watching something called .NET Interactive extension that allows you to run .NET Interactive in a Jupyter Notebook style within VS Code, as the kernel for executing C#. I decided, hey, I'm going to install the extension and let's give it a shot. So this is kind of what I ended up doing in about a half hour's worth of work to actually go and get something that actually, runs something useful, right? So not very useful, but hey, it works, so which proves the point. So you do have the standard Markdown or code blocks that you can add. So certainly I did add some Markdown just to be a good developer and actually document my code. So first thing I needed to do was add some namespaces. So you can add certainly namespaces, and you can notice the kernel down here is .NET Interactive. So I needed to add some things here. System.io I added, and then I have some SRF, one of the libraries that I have on NuGet that I wanted to try out a little bit with .NET Interactive. So I went to nuget.org, went to the page, and of course they have a copy for the .NET Interactive now, so you can just copy it right out of there with one click once you find a package that you like. Threw that in there, added some namespaces, nothing too fancy there. I did want to prove that OOP actually works out of the box without any issues, and so I used a model that I created essentially to match some data that I had gotten from the web, which is essentially some zip code data. So I created my GeoName class here to capture postal code and county, city, that kind of stuff in the model. I added a method because I thought, hey, we should have methods be able to work here in .NET Interactive. So I created a quick little method that does nothing but write to the console line some of the properties from our model. And then, rather than actually, creating the collection of geonames by hand, I figured, well, I could import it from CSV or something, but I said, why not just take it out of the database? So I created a query with one of my little Fluent helper libraries that actually just goes through and executes a query using a named connection string, and as well as a command file, which is nothing more than command text and some other properties for SQL client command, SQL command. And then to actually iterate through the results here and find out that I actually got data, I put a counter in here to count all the rows. I also wanted to add a filter if it didn't match Geauga County. It would actually write that out to the console line, and then it would just spit out the total number of rows that iterated through, and voila. So you can run these steps individually right here. So we can do that here real quick. So half a second for each one of these or so. Yeah. Certainly probably doesn't take that long, but that surprised me a little bit. It does query pretty fast to the database. Although it's not actually doing the execution on, because it's got to do the IEnumerable here, and it actually writes out all of the data using my method in my class to the console, and it returned back 41,467 rows or whatever the heck it is. Certainly, you would actually usually execute them all here just by running this. We can make a change here, which is pretty cool. We'll change our parameter here to Cuyahoga for all of our Cleveland residents. We don't have to rerun the entire thing. If we really didn't want to, we could probably just rerun it from here. There you go. So there it is, .NET Interactive. It's pretty cool stuff. Now, certainly, with some practice and some thought, you could probably put together some really neat DevOps workflow notebooks to be able to go through builds or copying files or whatever the case may be, launching console apps. The works. You could use this for ETL, database maintenance. The possibilities are unlimited, really, since you're, essentially just, writing some C# statements to take advantage of some libraries to execute some dynamic C#. It's interactive. Voila, it's pretty awesome. That's all I got, but hope you guys like the new .NET Interactive.